Welcome, welcome. Thank you. Thank you, Debbie, for getting us live. Hey, everybody out there in Facebook land. We're a few minutes late, but we're here. It seems like due to the Zoom and Facebook is under a lot of, everybody's using it. That's a simple way of putting it. So tonight is one of our calls, the Compassionate Talk calls that are hosted by Love Coach Academy, Scott Katamis, Debbie G, the goddess of gratitude, and myself, Paul Sterling. Although it does say Scott Katamis there, that is an illusion. Scott and I do not have the same hairdo at all. So
I thought something was different.
something is definitely different. So if
And I'm magic. You know this, right? Because look,
you made it happen.
I just do that,
Absolutely. So tonight, what I wanted to do is I am a relationship and intimacy coach, and I have been working with lots of clients recently that are dealing with incredible pressure, stress, challenges, changes going on. So tonight I thought I would dive into what is the, what's behind the scene, what's running and sometimes wrecking relationships, and the 7 essential skills. And I'm actually, if people want to take a deeper dive, I decided to do a 10-day course on this, and I was going to make it $97. Now, this would have been normally $997, but so many people are like worried about their finances and everything. So anyway, here we go. We're going to dive in. I am going to see if I I need to find something here so that I can share my screen.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, while you're doing that, let me
Yes,
just
please.
give a huge shout out to everybody who's joining us right now. Karen Palmer, I saw you. Wink, wink. I saw you. Hi, Wendy. Hi, Vaughn. So I'm going to share this out and start watch parties. If you are watching this on one of my watch parties, please jump on over to Spirituality Gone Wild or Love Coach Academy, and that way that I can see your comments, and I'll try to do my best to actually see them right now. And boom. Share, share, share. And there we go. So if you have any of these things going on with your relationships, you need to stick it out. And let's check it out.
All right, and I am ready to share my screen. And actually, before I do that, oh, too late. It will not unshare until I share. So here we go. Our hero's journey. There's several different ways to look at relationships, and there's several different ways to look at the challenge we're going through right now. And one of the ways to look at relationships is sort of, I call it the Disney version of happily ever after. Like we're supposed to, we find the prince, princess, or whatever it is. We move into the castle, we live happily ever after. And if that paradigm happens, then if there's any challenges in the castle, then it means I picked the wrong prince or princess or wrong relationship and something's wrong. So that's one model, I call it the Walt Disney model. And then there's sort of the Lord of the Rings model, which is looking at life and relationships as a hero's journey. And if we look at what happens in a hero's journey is when you get together in a relationship, that's when the journey starts. That's when things get challenging. That's when you start to grow. And if we're lucky enough, what we do is we find somebody worth going on the journey with. And right now, this challenging coronavirus times, how are we looking at it? Now, if we think that everything's supposed to be perfect all the time, this is a big disaster. If we look at it as a hero's journey, what can we learn from it? What can we grow? How can we connect with each other and take and learn about ourselves and learn about our planet and can be compassionately connected with everybody? That's the hero's journey. So I want to give you some tips, tools, techniques on how to be more connected with each other. And my journey, let's see, I'm going to bounce ahead a couple of slides. My journey started many, many years ago. I am the guy, let's make sure it stays with it. Nope. I lost it there for a second. Come on back. I am that guy all the way on the right. So you might just notice that my hair, I used to have hair back then.
You know, I was trying to, I again thought something was different.
Yeah, there.
But-
Thank you, Debbie.
You're welcome. But you know, dude, is that Tony Robbins right there?
That's Tony Robbins.
Okay.
This
is cool.
Tony was one of the first people that got me on my hero's journey. Robert Kiyosaki was the first guy from Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I was a commercial fisherman in Alaska. And I actually, at one point, Robert Kiyosaki came to Alaska and did a training. And I went to see it. It's called Money and You. And here it is. It's like 40 years later, they're still doing Money and You around the world. It's still being trained, that course.
I think that's really cool. But I have a question. I want to know about this picture when it was shot. What was going on here?
Tony was coaching somebody, and it was a small group. I used to be the guy that got on stage and introduced Tony at the workshops. And then I ended up working for him. He was my boss, my mentor, and I learned a lot. He basically, I almost look at it life before Tony and life after Tony. And then years later, I go back and learn more. And he's one of the guys in my life that I go to when I need some powerful transformation. Let me switch the slides here. When I need this, a breakthrough. And what I want people, and maybe Debbie, you can see on the feedback, where do people want to break through in their relationship? And what a breakthrough is when something becomes possible that wasn't possible before. And just so that you know, the camera's up there, my screen's down here, so I'm going back and forth. I'm maybe I want to look you in the eye though periodically and say breakthroughs are possible. And the challenge right now is how we communicate under pressure is going to make or break our relationships. And these are powerful tools. And even among us love coaches, because Debbie's a love coach too, her and I collided the other day, but not in a bad way. It just.
Well, open the screen up. Let's talk about it.
Okay, yeah, let's do that. I'll open the screen up. I'll stop sharing. What I want to do is because some people have, I think it's the Disney picture, is that if I'm with the right person, I'll never have conflicts, upsets, misunderstandings, any of that. That's just not the way I've seen it in life. If you're going to do big things, you're going to have big mistakes or big misunderstandings or big challenges. And if you're up to big stuff like we are, there's going to be times when we collide. And it's what we do with it that makes all the difference in the world. Do we collapse or do we lean in? So Debbie, go ahead. I opened it up. I want to hear something from you.
Sure. Oh, absolutely. Okay, check it out. All right, guys. So listen, we're all having a meeting, and my personality and just who I am naturally, I'm a talker, but I'm not a, I don't know how to explain it. I am not one to usually talk about things in too much depth. I just sort of go off on my own and handle it. I'm single. I've been single for years. And Paul just like opened up the door, this can of worms for me to have to practice what I freaking preach, man. And it's just like, I was kicking and screaming a bit, I got to admit, and all over the simple fact of he questioned me and what I was doing. God forbid you question Debbie, because I was like, you're going to question me?
The fun part of it is when we got down to it.
Yeah.
we had very different stories of what happened. And
Totally.
see, once I entered Debbie's world and understood the story that she was telling herself, it was like, oh, no wonder, that makes sense. And we're going to have, like, the more pressure we have, the less we have in reserves, the less patience, the less compassion. So this is going to be a time to really tax us. And so it's a chance to really build your compassionate communication muscles.
Well,
Um,
I gotta say something though, so part of what happened too is that my willingness to see, I care about Paul. It wasn't just like I dig him as a person, period. Doesn't mean I have to agree with everything that he puts out or anybody else puts out. But the fact of the matter is that when you love somebody and you care about them and they're your friend, that in my world, it means shut my mouth and take a listen, because perhaps what they're saying is not only number one, do you deserve the respect to be heard, but secondly, for me to expand on where I'm at and possibly see that maybe I need to see this differently because what I'm doing isn't working either, you know. So the point being is that when I I had two choices to make, an old way of handling things and thinking that or possibly using these communication tools that we talk about and shifting and seeing what's real for another person. And when you care about people, truly care about them, you're going to stop and do this because and it's going to work, because what you wind up doing, well, for me, I got like the all of these great uh beautiful moment golden nuggets out of it, and a deeper understanding for Paul, even more respect for his work, but also an expansion of seeing, hey, he's right. I think that maybe we could try to do this. See, the kitty agrees always, right? Like that's just how it is.
so one of the things, I want to tie this in to what we're talking about. I'm going to share a slide for
Uh-huh.
a second, and then we're going to go back and forth with this. All right. I've talked about this. If people have seen me talk before, they've probably seen this slide. And it's a critical slide because I want to set up the framework here. And I want to call it effective tools. So I was teaching, and I've taught this stuff well, I've worked with couples for over 25 years. That slide I showed in the beginning with me and Tony, that was probably 35 years ago or more. You could tell both of us were a little younger. Anyway, I've taught this in prison for 8.5 years and worked with anywhere from minimum to maximum security inmates and the guards too. And so I was going in one day and I got some bacon stuck in my teeth. And by the way, that is not a picture of me. So just so that I'm clear. And what happened is, like, my tongue started going, I started getting it really irritated. I'm trying to get it out and that didn't work. So then I got out a business card and I'm driving along. And this process probably taken about a half an hour or more. Then I stick the business card in my teeth and I'm trying to get the bacon out, and the business card gets wet and then it tears off in my teeth. And so what I want you to think about is the business card was a tool, but it was an ineffective tool. And when we use ineffective tools in relationships or in communication, we tend to make it worse. So the business card ended up wedged in between my teeth along with the piece of bacon. It made things worse. I ended up stopping, pulled out, hopefully you can see this, a little toothpick, and 30 seconds with the toothpick, it turned it around. So the last thing I want to do on this part of it is I want to give a different image. Let me see if I can get to the right image. I am going to stop sharing so I can find the right image.
Well, I just love that you showed a great example. You pulled out the right tool.
Yeah, now I need the right tool to move through my images here.
Well, in the meantime, I was seriously just loving the fact that I was watching a video while he's looking for that, and it goes right into what he's talking about. And I was looking at this video of myself a couple years ago, and I was completely under resourced and
Mm.
totally under resourced. And I'm watching it. I was just watching it a minute ago. And I'm talking about being under resourced because this is something that we learn as love coaches, that you have to be well resourced. And 9 times out of 10, whenever I react badly, it's because I'm not resourced well.
So
So
Debbie, let me ask you to go a little bit deeper into what resourced means, so people, and the slide I was looking for, we were totally aligned because they were talking about resourcefulness versus reactiveness. So to you, what does it mean to be resourceful? And how do you know when you're not?
absolutely. I know when I'm not, when I'm easily frustrated, just like my dog is being right now. Sorry, guys. You know, Paul, I'm gonna let you take over while I handle this. He's just not. He's trash. He's trash
Got it.
talking again.
Okay, got it.
Okay, he does not. He's like the little that dinosaur right there. Come here, Ruru.
Okay, so here's what I wanted you to think about, because there are 7 core skills, 7 essential skills in creating a remarkable relationship. So if you could type in your Facebook land, how many of you want a remarkable relationship? Just put yes, I do, you bet, whatever. Type that in and we'll be checking on that. Debbie's the one who can see all of that. Then the second thing is to get a remarkable relationship, what we need is remarkable relationship skills. So it's either winning the lottery and we find somebody who's perfect and we don't have to grow and learn or do anything, or we actually have to go to the gym every week and build our relationship muscles. So this is one of the core skills right here. And you can look at almost any upset you've ever had, and you're going to find within these 3 walls where you went. So what happens under challenge, crisis, conflict? We either go to number 1, when we're low resource, we're either collapsed, and that's a picture of my puppy rolled over on his back, and when a big dog charges him, he'll roll over and collapse so that the fight's over. And it's a great way to protect yourself, but it kind of sucks in relationships. And what that is lose, win, I'm a martyr. I'll give up on my needs and you, so that you can meet your needs. But you know what? Later on, I'm going to make you pay. I'm going to be resentful. I'm going to regret it. There's going to be resistance. So even though I collapse, if I lose for long enough, it will destroy the relationship and you will pay the price. So you don't want to be with someone who collapses. And I collapsed, which is not always becoming for me. 6'3", 230 pounds. It's like, I wouldn't go on the floor, but I would emotionally kind of shut down and check out. And so actually for me, interestingly, it was a stretch with Debbie and I, because I don't want to have conflict with the people I work with and the people I really care about. And Debbie's one of those people I work with and I care about. So it's like I had to look at the old tempting ways, either collapse and pretend that it's okay when it's not, or get combative and say, God damn it, do it my way, go to hell, and create lots of resistance. Neither of which would have brought us closer or created any sort of harmony. The third way is courageous. Courageous is like from the French word la cour, from the heart. So how could I come from my heart and reach out to Debbie and her heart and create something that was, it's not like I won and she lost, or she won and I lost. It was, how do we create something where we both win? So Debbie, you're back with us. Anything you want to say about that one?
Well, sure. First thing was being well resourced. And what that means for me is that I can't be hungry, tired. I can't be tired. I can't be feeling overwhelmed. If I'm feeling overwhelmed, then I'm too stretched and I'm not able to be present with you. And also, there's nowhere to fit in the conversation that we're even having. So it's like, I'm not in a good space in order to be able to receive and give with an even flow of synergy and an even flow of care. So that's a yellow light, red light. Stop and ask for the conversation to happen later. And but I also had to learn that even though I'll go off and I'll self-source, I'll come to my conclusions and be okay. There was another person to consider here, and that's an important part of this. So it's great if we're great at self-sourcing, but forgetting that there might be another person that also needs your attention is important too.
Yeah, and we'd love to see your puppy has like the top of his mohawk is showing up there. It's like if you could lift him up just a little bit so we could see a little bit more. Yeah.
So this is the one that is trash talking. His name is Monster.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
you like the Fu Manchu eyebrows?
The Fu Manchu eyebrows and the mohawk there,
All natural.
he just needs a pickup truck.
I love
So
you.
one of the things that Debbie's talking about is the difference, and I'm going to bring this up, is the difference between a great relationship and one that sucks is right here. And in a great relationship, and I work with couples all around the world, we work over Zoom, and sometimes I'm working with them, they're 6 months together, sometimes they're 30 and 40 years together. And there's some patterns that show up in almost every relationship. A great relationship, here's the pattern. It's easy to win and it's hard to lose. And we set our partners up to win. And Debbie started talking about this, like in communication. It's like if I'm going to have a tough communication with her, the way if I'm trying to set her up to win, I'm like, hey, is this a good time? Are you feeling resourced right now? And she's super busy. We're all very busy right now. It's an odd time, but we're busier than ever trying to support people with this challenge. So if I want to set her up to win, I'm going to ask in advance before I have a challenging conversation, is this a good time? And the other thing that actually Debbie is a master at, because the G also stands for gratitude, is to be grateful on a regular basis for your partner. Like if here's a daily exercise you can do, locked in the house together, what are 5 things you're grateful for about your partner? And my partner and I, Leah, we do this almost every day. What are we
Really good.
grateful for? And we're very specific, not like you're a great person, but when you made me dinner or you did this or we did, whatever it is, because she's a massage therapist and her work is, it's gone right now.
Mhm.
Just went one day, it was one of her best days, and the next day, 0.
Mhm.
And I'm sure her clients, when this whole thing opens up again, are going to be anxiously awaiting to get their massage again. So she's shifted and she's supporting me a little more than she normally would. And I am grateful for that. And we're both setting it up to win, and our future keeps getting brighter and brighter. So here it is. If you want to screw up, I'm going to speak bluntly. If you want to fuck up your relationship, here's the formula. Take each other for granted and make it easy to lose and hard to win. So what easy to win is in the beginning of a relationship, your partner brings you a pebble from the beach. And you go, oh my God.
Oh.
Yeah, a pebble. And then he paints the house later in the relationship. You go, oh, I don't like that shade. Or I don't.
That color's totally off. I can't even believe that you even picked that color. Were you colorblind when you went in there? What was the Was the light wrong? What were you thinking? Why didn't you just ask me in the first place? I would have told you what to do. I don't even understand this. Now you wasted all that time and now you're going to do it again? Oh, yeah,
Wow.
right? No, that's not the way to have a good relationship right there.
Let me just see. There's another slide I want to bring up. You brought up something, Debbie. That was, here we go. I'm bouncing around a tiny bit, but I want you to, this is a key concept that I talk about when I work with couples. Have you heard me talk about this?
Oh, but I'm cracking up at the Kermie with the bottle.
Yeah, and I originally got this from Alison Armstrong, and it's called frog farming and bitch building. She did the frog farming, I added the bitch building, but frog farming, like, what is a fairy tale? You find a frog and you kiss him and turn him into a what?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah?
You turn him into a prince. Yep. You're going to fix him.
Now, what frog farming is when you start with a prince and you nag them back into being a frog.
Okay, I've had both of those. I've had the frog that I thought I would turn into a prince.
Yep.
No, did not work because my ex frog looked like the one with the bottle right there. And then my longest relationship was definitely the prince that I would try to turn into the frog.
Yeah, and what happens a lot of times, and I talk about in this about the difference in the feminine and masculine way of dealing with relationships. And I have a very strong feminine side because I can talk about my feelings and needs, and a very strong masculine side because I spent 18 years as a commercial fisherman in Alaska. And so what a relationship is a dance of polarities between those energies, whether it's gay, lesbian, straight, heterosexual, homosexual, doesn't matter. There's a dance of energies that come together. And if there's two masculine energies, it tends to be a collision, or two feminine energies, it can tend to be that things don't happen. So it's like, how do you get those energies? And the feminine energy, believe it or not, I'm sure, Debbie, you believe it, has much more power in the relationship than they know. They just don't always know how to use it. So it's sort of like if I yelled at you versus just asking you for something, I might get it. I still might get it by yelling at you, but there's going to be a lot of resentment and regret. And a lot of times the masculine wants to be the feminine's hero. And if we can't make it as a hero, we end up feeling like a zero and quit. And there's a lot of times, and I feel this is like we're in a delicate zone. I can just feel some people going, oh, don't say that. But if the masculine doesn't see a way to win the game, it will often quit the game. And the feminine will also often try to withhold love, affection, and attention to punish somebody into better behavior. If
I'm
you
guilty
look at
of all this. I just raised my hand.
Yeah. So thank you for that. But I wanted to be careful that there's like, I don't take sides, and the other side is bitch building. And that's where the masculine ignores, avoids, crushes dreams, doesn't listen to, until the feminine feels like they have to scream to be heard, to nag, to do all the rest of it. So we take our princess and turn them into a bitch.
A biatch.
So,
You know, I'm seriously curious. Like, I'm sitting here and I'm looking at this. You've just described a beautifully dysfunctional environment of relationship, one that I've lived, and I've lived on every single one of these spheres. Have you?
oh yeah, yeah. And here's the thing. So let me see if I've got it. I'm looking here, looking. Nope, I can't find it right here. I have a dentist drill. A friend of mine who's a dentist gave me one of his used drills. And so Debbie, I got a question for you. I would love to, I got the Idiot's Guide to How to Fill Cavities and Drill Teeth. So I'd love to practice, and I'll do it for half price. I'll drill some of your teeth and fill cavities for half price. And I'm smart. I'm pretty handsome, smart, capable, What do you say?
Yeah, probably not.
Why not?
Well, because I just don't have any faith, trust, or reassurance that that's going to work very well.
Because here's the thing. In relationships, there's three positions: available, capable, and willing. So I'm available to drill on your teeth, but the second one is, am I capable? And the simple answer is no. But in relationships, we don't think about it that way. Rarely do you get a relationship resume. And often you get a resume and ignore it. Like they'll say, oh yeah, the last people I were with, all of them were such assholes. Well, what was the common denominator?
That one person who said it.
Yeah. So here's what I want to give you, the three things when you're thinking about a relationship, and here's what to look at. Number one, do you know the term bioavailability?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so what is bioavailability?
Bioavailability is accessing what is an abundant
Let me prompt you
it's
with
like a first like the okay, I can't know I do know what it means, but you want me to describe it. Now I feel I'm on the spot and I'm going to blow it.
You're totally on the spot. Everybody's looking at you.
I know. Hi everybody. So
let me say it a different way. When it comes to, say, vitamins, what does bioavailability mean?
it means what's actually going to be absorbed by your system.
Right. And see, you can rearrange it. Like if you take vitamin C and something else, sometimes it blocks it and sometimes it makes it more available.
Correct.
So the idea here is, in relationships, how available is somebody to be in a relationship? Are they emotionally, physically, mentally available? And what decides how available we are is how much of the past we've cleaned up. So if somebody just gets out of a relationship, they had the heart broken, and they're sitting around going, men suck, or women are horrible, or all the rest of it. And then they see you and go, hey, let's get in a relationship. How available are they really?
Well, they're not.
5%, 10%, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
And I look at it, I'm in a long-term committed relationship, and we'll all have our own way of measuring this, but I'm like 50 or 40% available. 60% of the time, I'm working on something else. And maybe it's even a little more of the time, I'm a busy guy. And so the time, like during this time together in California, we're in, what is it called? Not lockdown, but
the stay.
Huh?
The stay, the California
homestay.
The homestay.
But I try to make sure that at least a couple of hours a day, we go for a walk, we do something together where I am totally available to my partner.
So I'm curious, what are you doing to make, if you're looking at the percentage of availability for your partner, the percentage of availability that you have to your busyness, what percentage do you give to yourself before that you can open up enough to take and share with the partner?
Oh, the shame of it. Not enough.
Dude, you got to self-source before you can. Okay, because that's the part that I'm going to tell you, Paul. That seems to be the part that I must be conscious of during this time of at-home stay, self-sourcing, so that I can have that availability for other people. And if I'm not, I don't even realize I'm being a bear rabbit until my son says, you've been a crab apple. I didn't think I was being crabby. Am I being crabby? And then it's like, oh shit, I got to take a check. And the reason is because sometimes he's not saying it to be mean. He's saying it because maybe that's the way I'm coming across. So how are you taking care of yourself to be able to give that 2 hours and be 100% present in that 2 hours?
Well, there's a lot of little things that I'm doing on a regular basis, including breathing exercises, some meditation, spending each morning our coffee ritual in bed, at least most
Tell me
mornings.
about that. I want to know about your coffee ritual in bed.
Well, she makes me coffee, and I get this. This is where I get to stay in bed. This is where I feel totally loved and adored and taken care of. And
Aw.
most mornings, she makes us both coffee, and I stay in bed, and we kind of cuddle a little bit and hug and have a cup of coffee together. Um, but
That's awesome.
sometimes,
Is this the point where you guys do your gratitude sharing?
no, we do a little of it there, but it's really a slow. I wake up with like an adrenaline shot, and she wakes up much more gradually. So I
Mm.
have to be careful. If I want to set her up and myself up to win, I can't wake up first thing and go, hey, da, 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 da. It's like, no, leave me alone. I have to enter her world at her speed. And so during the walk, we'll do the gratitude, or the drive to the walk, we'll do the gratitude. At dinner. So, and I wanted to bring up another thing. So part of what I wanted to do about today is let people know that if they want to take a deep dive into mastering some of these tools, I'm going to do a 10-day course. This course would normally be like $997, and it's going to be $97.
Wow, that's pretty awesome.
Well, that's for part of it. If you want more advanced stuff, you can spend all the way up to $497 if you want personalized coaching during the course. But if you just want to take the course, it's $97, and you're going to get a deep dive into understanding how to be more available, capable, willing. The other thing that is going to be touched on, which we didn't really talk about, but we demonstrated, Debbie, is the attachment theory. And there's the simple, how familiar are you with it?
I'm pretty with the avoidance and attachment.
Yeah, well, pursuant and avoidant. So what a pursuant is when there's an upset, and Debbie and I modeled this perfectly. A pursuant, when there's an upset, I'm going to just change the screen for a second so people can see. So when there's an upset and there's a pursuant and an avoidant, a pursuant, my nervous system was like upset, and what's going to calm my nervous system down is when the relationship between Debbie and I gets calmed down. For Debbie, an avoidant, and these are just generalized label, but she is better at going to her cave and calming her nervous system and then coming back.
Right.
Now, here's where it gets really squirrely. If you put together an avoidant and a pursuant, and I've literally had clients where she was the pursuant, he was the avoidant, he was like running down the street and she's chasing him because she can't calm her nervous system down until they're calm together. Mm-hmm. He can't calm his nervous system down until he's got some space.
Right.
So here's where it gets really insane. Say Debbie and I have a conflict, she goes away and calms her nervous system down, and then she comes back. Well, what's happened while she's away? She's gotten calmer. I've gotten more agitated because the longer I'm hanging out with this upset, the worse it's getting in my head. So she comes back like, oh, I'm cosmic, I'm happy. How are you doing? It's like, rah!
I'm all self-sourced. What's up?
You're like, how could you do that to me? And it's like, dude.
Huh? Right. Well, but this comes into, this is, it's as I definitely go to my cave.
Yeah.
But I used to be the pursuant in relationship. Okay. So since I've been single, I've had to learn to go to my cave and self-source my own ass and be by myself and deal with it. It also Let me tell you, when you're completely alone out there, for all you right now that are completely alone, here's a beauty in it. There's nobody to blame. You really get, you are in the best spot possible. You get to do your cave work, to come back to the pursuant one who actually, whose nervous system. But Paul, why is the story going round and round and loopy? Because isn't it true that that moment in relationship, when you're in that pursuant and your mind is doing this to you, that you are replaying old records and old behaviors and old triggers, and that's where this comes from. So how do you work as the pursuant to calm that down when you've got someone like me who's just like, chill, what's up? Yeah, I'm good.
Well, why don't I actually want to give you the biggest picture and then down to your specific question.
Okay.
So behind me, but drum roll,
These are great, you guys.
I have this, and I'm guessing, and maybe Debbie, you could look on there and just see who's out there in Facebook world, any questions they have. But I'm guessing everybody that's on this call is on this call for one reason. And that reason is they want a different result in their life. They want something to happen that's not happening, or something to stop that is happening.
Right.
Stop the conflict, or resolve the conflict, or clear up misunderstanding. They want some relationship superpowers. So Debbie, to get a result, what do we have to do?
I was looking online, sorry. To get a result, we have to do an action.
So the actions we take or don't take create the results we get or don't get in life.
Mhm.
And it's interesting. Whoops, I got to silence my phone. I once heard that a problem clearly stated is a problem half solved. Now, one way of stating a problem is, and you can get a lot of traction for this, my husband, my wife, my partner doesn't listen to me. So what's the problem with that problem?
They're not being heard. The problem with the problem.
As part of the problem, but the problem, if I go, Debbie doesn't listen to me, how much control do I have over Debbie?
Well, you don't have any. And
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
unless you're magical and I don't know about it.
So the problem is I'm stating a problem in a way that may feel good to me, because now
Right.
like I can get a lot of sympathy and empathy and understanding, but it makes me powerless. A different way of stating that problem
Mhm.
is I don't know how to talk to Debbie in a way that she wants to listen to me. So you can change that in anything. I don't know how to talk to my partner in a way that they want to make love to me. I don't know how to talk to my partner in a way that they want to listen. I don't know. Like, so what you're trying to do is claim back
Mhm.
your power. And so when you, it's like, if my actions are trying to change you to get the result, I'm kind of screwed. But if I go, I'm going to learn some new communication tools so I communicate in a way that makes you want to listen, that doesn't make you feel BSW. Oh, we have a pop-up here.
BSW, bad, stupid, wrong.
Exactly. So if your actions control your results, what controls your actions? This happens to be the dog day or something. You got your puppy. I got, this is Leo, everybody. Leo, say hi to everybody. Hi, everybody. All right. So what controls your actions?
Our thoughts, our beliefs. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So your beliefs. And what is a belief? See, this is what runs the show. And most people really just, they stop at it's a belief, but they don't really have a good definition for what a belief is.
Well, the belief starts with a thought. It starts with a belief, an experience.
Yeah. And so you have an experience and you try to make sense of it. So a belief, here's a definition. I don't want to like say that, I got struck by lightning and I now have the right definition, but a very empowering definition of a belief is a story that you tell yourself with certainty.
Ooh, actually, I really like that. I
And
really,
see,
really like that.
the thing is that makes it easier to change because it's just a story.
Mhm.
Men are, women are. See, we had a story that the world was flat. It was just a story we told ourselves with what? Certainty. And believe it or not, there's still some people out there that believe the world is flat.
Well, here's what I love is that everything going on right now has just rattled all of the beliefs and all of the things that we thought were certainty. So I'm thinking that it's safe to consider that it's time to rattle your beliefs that you had within relationship, connection, communication, and how you do that. And this is a really good example right here that Paul's giving of how to do all of these things. Think about where you're sitting right now and just ask yourself the question, is this working? That's really the key. If you're sitting there and like he goes, "Hey, yo, could you grab me a drink from in there?" And you turn around and you think, "Sure," but in your brain you're thinking, "Yeah, I'll get you a drink, motherfucker. And let me just open that up and make it a really special way too." Because you agreed to do something you didn't want to do in the first place, but you didn't know how to say, "No, that doesn't work for me. How about we, zero communication." If that's what's going on and you just want to literally strangle each other, or or if you just want to enhance what's already going on and use this opportunity to take a really great relationship to extraordinary, that's everybody. If you're in a coupleship, I encourage you to try this and check it out. I mean, come on, $100 is nothing. I can't even believe you're doing that, dude. I'll squawk at your ass about that later as your business partner. We'll talk about that.
Well,
But I really, I want to I'm going to hand it back to Paul and let you know that there is somebody, and I didn't even know we had somebody in the waiting area till just now when I looked. So I apologize to the person who's in the waiting area. Can you do me a favor? There's a chat. Can you just chat who is in the waiting area because it didn't show me. All right. So why don't you take it away for your grand finale and let's tell everybody how to work with you.
okay, so before I do, I'm just going to kind of bring this to a close. Uh,
Yes.
this this cell phone, I'm almost positive that everybody watching today has a cell phone. Mine has about 159 different apps or programs on it,
Mm-hmm.
and it has one operating system. So if you make a change in the app, unless it's a virus, it won't change the operating system. If you make a change in the operating system, it can impact all of the apps. How that applies to our relationship. And by the way, most people, their operating system is invisible in their phone and it's invisible in their relationship. So the only time I know that I'm supposed to update my app on the phone is I get a message saying, "Do you want to update your app? I mean, your phone." It's like, yeah. Well, we need to update our relationship operating system, our ROS, because our ROS, well, let me put it this way, Debbie. I want to sell you a program. It's a program that's going to make all your most important decisions. It's going to run your relationships. It's going to decide in a lot of ways whether you're happy or sad in relationships. It's going to sometimes push away the people you love the most. And it was created by a 5-year-old, and it hasn't been updated in 30 or 40 years. It's full of viruses and incompatibilities. How many of them do you want?
Mm-mm. None.
But see, that's what most of us have, is we have this outdated, and it's not user friendly. We want to make the invisible visible. We want to make your operating system visible so you can see what habits, patterns, and beliefs are running and often wrecking your relationship and turning the people you love into your enemies and destroying things. So that's one of the first chunks in there. The other chunk is there are 7, let's see if I can do this, 7 core relationship skills. And so let's see, do you have a way to put something up on the screen?
Mm-hmm. Do I?
So I want to put either my website and my name up on the screen. I don't know if,
Oh, to do a banner like we do with
yeah, or some,
not not yet, but we've got that. We'll have that technology wrapped into our Zoom soon.
okay. Argue less. Well, where's the book? The book. I have my book here somewhere. I wrote a best-selling book, Argue Less, Love More, and it's somewhere.
And here's the great part. What will happen is after this, Paul's going to go ahead and post the link into the comment section of this feed, as well as he's going to go and edit the description of the video, and then he's going to put it in there too.
And then he's gonna embarrass the hell out of himself because he can't find his own book sitting on his own desk there. Okay, well, I did write a book, and it was, oh, the cat knocked it off. So
he blames it on the cat.
There it is. Argue Less, Love More.net. That's my website. If you want, you can go to arguelesslovemore.net/support and get a free copy of the book. You can get instant access to it, download it, and start reading it right away. And actually now we have 3 people in the attendees.
Well, isn't that, well,
here's what's going to happen in the course, just so that people have an idea. We're going to go through the ROS, your relationship operating system, your beliefs, the invisible will become visible. Then we're going to go through 7 core skills. So about 70 or 80% of the upsets you've ever had in a relationship come from these 7 areas. So I want to give you these skills so you can handle these areas. So I'm going to tell you what the areas are. Number 1, compassion and communication. We kind of talked about that. We demoed it. That's just a brief, like, look under the covers and see what's there. It is an in-depth dive. Number 2, there's only one reason to be in a relationship. What's the one reason? Now, you know, like on, what was it? City Slickers, that movie years ago, the one thing. So what's the one reason to be in a relationship? And everybody out there in Facebook land, type in what you think the one reason is.
The one reason to be in a relationship, I would say, would be connection. So
there is a reason. And there's somebody put Q&A there. There's to have a lot of sex. that was from an anonymous attendee. So good for you. And here's the one reason. And see, the thing is, you're going to find out that this reason overarches the things that you said. It's to get your needs met.
Yes.
And the problem is we have a culture of need shame. We're ashamed of our needs. So we expect our partner to meet our needs without ever asking, because asking makes us vulnerable. So second thing is be able to notice, name, and negotiate needs, to have a dialogue, to have communication. And part of it, yes, definitely connection, communication, intimacy. Those are all, there's like 10 top needs I talk about. The third one is conflict resolution, because if you're going to have a great relationship, going to be conflict. I got to buzz through the last of them. Number 4 is about healing wounds and taming triggers. Because if you've ever had your heart broken, you have some wounds. And almost everybody, one of the most courageous things we can do is, after having our heart broken more than once, is to say, yeah, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to willingly lean back in, have a relationship, be open and vulnerable, and most likely get hurt sometime again.
Yeah. Can I just tell you what my viewpoint on getting hurt or heartbroken is?
Yes, go.
That is broken expectation. It's the expectation to the outcome of the relationship that I was more devastated over than anything. So my broken heart was really the broken expectations that I had for that, where that was going. What I mean by that is, when Dennis and I split up, there wasn't Abel and Mabel anymore, which was our funny, goofy names. there wasn't going across the United States anymore. There weren't all of our plans. There wasn't the future that we talked about that we were creating together anymore. There were the idealism of the giant pedestal I had him on, that expectation of who I thought he was and should have been broken. So a lot of it, when I say that, I say that because when I evaluated it and I evaluated my broken heart, I saw that they were broken expectations within that really hurt.
Yeah, they do.
And you're right, but you're right about what you said, to be able to open yourself back up, but learn from the expectations you put on the last one.
Yeah. Well, it's another simple metaphor for it, and then I'll buzz through the last things and we'll end this. You have a puppy in your lap. I have a puppy in my lap. That puppy most likely is not going to live as long as we do.
Yeah.
And it's going to be heartbreaking when they go. So do we not get a puppy to protect ourselves so that we won't get our heart broken? Or do we get a puppy and know that when that puppy passes, most likely, and we just had a friend's dog pass 2 days ago.
Oh,
it's so heartbreaking.
It's horrible. It's horrible.
And losing relationships can also be horrible. And we get wounded, but it's like, do we stop having relationships? Well, some people do. And some people lean in and go, I'm going to try again. I'm going to do it again. I am here. There's an expression that says ships are safe in the harbor, but that's not what ships are for. And the heart is semi-safe when you're all by yourself, but that's not what your heart is for.
I loved that. And I thought that was beautiful. And I like the ship analogy. But I also love the fact, I agree with you. The only thing I'd have to say is about the relationships is I chose to stay single myself after the end of a really long-term one. I've had a couple of guys I dated like for a second, but no, it wasn't time yet. Because I had to learn to love me in order to do, and I know I have to date somebody who speaks this, who practices these tools, because otherwise I would probably be lost, quite honestly. I would encourage anybody who's watching right now, these are the tools that you've got to have, because they work. They work with my son and I, and we may not practice them exactly as stated, but we practice it the way it works. But yeah, these are invaluable, and it's really time for you to take some action while you're at home and do that. But yeah, so Paul, I kind of agree. I totally agree that getting your, stepping back out and dating again and all of that is super important.
And the more that you heal your wounds, the more available you are to be in the next relationship. And so I'm not going to go any more into that. That was number 4. Number 1 was communication. Number 2, needs. Number 3, conflict resolution. Number 4 is about wounds and triggers, because the more wounded we are, the more triggerable we are, and the less fun we are to be around.
Agree.
And number 5 is about trust. And there's 2 types of trust. Do I trust you with my feelings, my needs, my boundaries? Will you respect my boundaries? Can I be vulnerable with you? Do I need to pretend I'm somebody I'm not? That's the first thing. The second thing, which most people don't talk about or think about, is, do I trust me when I'm around you? Will I give up on my boundaries, my needs? Will I not tell my truth because I want to impress you or not offend you or do something? So it's very tempting to be smaller if you're in a relationship with somebody so that you don't upset them. So those are the 2 types of trust. The next one, number 6, is 3 types of intimacy: emotional, physical, and sexual. And I divided them out because emotional intimacy is very different than physical and very different than sexual. And especially for the feminine to open their body, because that's about, sex is about the most vulnerable thing a woman can do. And I'm not a woman, so I'm speaking for you or whatever, for the feminine. But to do that, there needs to be trust and intimacy. Before they open their body, they need to be able to open their heart. And if they can't trust you with their heart, they don't want to trust you with their body, or vice versa. If they can't trust you with the body, the heart. So intimacy, 3 types. Anything you want to say to that before we hit the last one and then end this?
Sure. Sex, sacred, euphoric Xanadu. It is also, and if you are in true heart connection, there is a way to elevate yourselves together in sacred union. And if you're practicing truly stepping into your divine creation together and your divine love, the elevation of what even intimacy into me I see is it goes even higher. So when you're practicing these tools, you're actually going to be practicing a new elevation to your intimacy and also to how that you connect. Taking you into the actual sexual experience, well, then even that becomes more expanded, because then you have the tools to communicate your needs and your desires.
Yeah. And the better you are at communication, the more better
The more
your
better.
intimacy is going to be, because lovemaking is just another form of communication. How do you communicate with your touch, your breath, your tone? I made a video at one point. It's on YouTube. It's been seen 5.4, actually at this point, 5.8 million times. It's about Tantra and sacred sexuality. And that's
I
a
guess what
bonus.
is that what that was kind of explaining, but I've never practiced tantra, you guys. So
Yeah.
I don't practice anything. Actually, I'm single.
So number 7,
Number 7.
drum roll, is the D's, dealing with differences, difficulties, and decisions. Every relationship is going to have difficulties, differences, and decisions. And how do you deal with them? If you decide in advance and you get some decision-making skills, it's very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than, it's almost like, if you think about it, if you were in the middle of a football game and it's the Super Bowl and you get an idea for a new play, and you run out in the middle of the field and go, "Hey coach, I want to talk to you about trying something new." It's like, no. So don't wait until the middle of you've got to make some new decisions, some agreements. I've been coaching couples right now a lot because agreements have changed. Like, you used to be able to just go, "I'm going to go get some space. I'm going to go eat out by myself. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to a movie." And right now it's like, no, are you leaving the house? Are you taking gloves? Are you going to wash your hands? Are you going to meet with somebody? Like, there's a whole new level of intense set of agreements that need to be spoken. And what Tony told me years ago is most agreements are unspoken until broken. And at this point right now, we can't afford to have broken agreements in our relationships. They could be devastating and beyond. So what I want to do is say, if you're interested, and it's going to be a smaller group, we'll have probably about 20 people. It will be an hour. Every other day is content. Every other day is coaching. So if you just want the content, that's 5 days. That's going to be $97. If you want the content and the coaching, and that's like going to be a group support coaching call where I'll be on it coaching you, and you'll get to interact, questions and answers, the whole thing. That's $197. If you want my personal private coaching during this process and everything else, it's $497. If you're excited, interested, have questions, let me know. It's an amazing deal, and a free copy of the book in there. There's a free course that I did that's a $97 course that I'm going to give to people who attends. So that right there, it's like, it's free. So get a hold of me. I'm Paul Sterling, and you can get a hold of me on Facebook. You can get a hold of me, arguelesslovemore.net. There's ways to get a hold of me there. or you can get a hold of me at sterling07 Please don't spam the hell out of me. Just send me a note, say you'd like to have a conversation. All right. Thank you very much. Any closing thoughts, Debbie?
No. Well, let me think. Tomorrow morning, I do believe that compassion, I think at 9 a.m. Yeah.
Yeah, 9
Okay.
a.m. and 6 a.m. Well, I'll close on gratitude for you, because Debbie found out that I needed her help about 5 minutes before the call started. And she, like, whatever she was doing, and she's super busy, she put it on aside and said, you know what, I'm here. I'll help make this call happen. She handled the logistics. She handled getting it up online. And she's been just a goddess of gratitude. She runs Spirituality Gone Wild. And if you want to spend some time with her, because she coaches people on how to have a more grateful life. So do you want to say anything about that before we hang up?
Sure. Thank you. It's yeah, gratitude alchemy, gratitude intelligence. It's truly practicing different practices to see how to use gratitude as a way of being. And it's a whole lot of fun. But if anybody wants to talk to me, you can just message Spirituality Gone Wild or Love Coach Academy. Also, watch for the event coming next Saturday on Love Coach Academy as well, and Scott Thomas and what is going to be coming out. And I really highly encourage people to get Paul's course. You guys need to listen. You're at home, you don't have anything else to do, you're getting irritated, you got all how this was working through this whole thing. So let's just be real. I mean, you may as well do something that's actually, Netflix is cool and all, and so is Gaia and all those great things. But I mean, the fact is, why not do something to enhance your life? And, I want to say this about gratitude. If you're having a really hard time figuring out what in the hell, I'm not going to be grateful for him. You got to be kidding me. Oh my God. I'm not going to be grateful for her. She's a complete bitch. She's okay. Here's how this is going to look. At one point in your life together, you know what you guys were? You were all over each other like a cheap suit, and you couldn't keep your hands off one another. And there was a point in time that you didn't know each other, but you were hoping you would. And then all of a sudden you came together, literally. And you remember those days? I know you remember those days. There's certain songs that spark those memories that you remember that? There's your gratitude moment, and there's your space in which to find your gratitude. Because anything other than that, you're taking your partner for granted. And if you don't order Paul's course, then you may be seeking divorce. Boom. And a poet, and I didn't know it. That's what I have to say.
Thank you. I'm going to end on this picture right here. This is some dear friends of mine, Melody and Ian, and this is a picture I took of them the day before their wedding. This is in Arizona. It was sort of we rented a whole camp, hot springs. They did a weekend-long wedding event. And she said, I was desperate for better communication with my beloved. We felt like cats and dogs trying to get along and understand each other. The course gave us the tools, the language, the infrastructure we both successfully used. We now feel like a breath of new possibility for our future, and feel a new level of intimacy and love that is deeply fulfilling and exciting. And the interesting thing is this was, God, 3 years ago, and they're still going strong. And they have been engaged for about 4 years, I think. I'm not sure exactly, but couldn't get married because there was still like something was not right. And we worked together for about 3 months, and it's like, they figured it out. And it's constantly growing, but they're an amazing couple. And I could go for the next hour with all the testimonials from people that have had breakthroughs, because it's the tools. It's not me, It's having the right tools. That's so amazing. So thank you for being here tonight. 9 in the morning, 6 at night, compassionate talk we do. And share this video with people you know who have relationship bumps and let them get the tips, tools, and techniques. Thank you, Debbie. Sign us off.
Peace.